Good morning, and welcome to the Universalist Church, in which love is the spirit. We are glad you are here in the sanctuary or anywhere in the world, especially those visiting or returning after a time away. I'm Lisa Smithhorn, one of your representatives on the Board of Trustees. If you are a visitor, we hope you'll talk with our welcome team or visit our webpage, www.westhartforduu.org, to learn more about us. Our guest book or online contact page will help you get onto our electronic mailing list. Our electronic communications are the best way for us to stay connected. We look forward to helping you become a part of the Universalist Church. We're in the season of colds, flu, and COVID, with many more people feeling ill right now. Masks are always welcome here, and we encourage you to stay up to date with your vaccinations. If you are unvaccinated or would like a mask, our ushers have some that we're happy to share. After worship, we'll have fellowship in Fisk Hall and through Zoom. If you need help finding your way to Fisk Hall for our fellowship hour, any member of the church will be happy to guide you. Just look for someone wearing a Universalist Church name tag. You can find the link for Zoom in your weekly news or on our Breeze calendar. If you aren't getting the weekly news, please sign up for it on our website. And now I invite you to take a moment to make your mobile phone silent, turn off your email, put away your keyboards, and settle in for worship.
Loveliest of trees, the cherry now is
If you have a home chalice, for those of you who are videoing in, please light it with us this morning. We light this chalice as one community. We gather with all our UU communities throughout the globe. So I ask you to consider the multitude of possibilities that arise as those chalices are lit this day. What will those gathered in Transylvania, in Germany, in India, in the UK, in Winnipeg and Vancouver, Canada, in Tulsa, San Diego, Phoenix, St. Louis, Bismarck, Buffalo, Boston, Cape Cod, Dallas, and Puerto Rico be placing before their congregations this day? What have you brought with you to place within this congregation? May the light, as it rises throughout our time together, remind us of the reality that multiple possibilities always exist at the same time. Our choices bring them into focus and into reality. May this light bless our choices always. Our opening hymn is hymn 63 in the gray hymnal. Please rise in body or in spirit, in the sanctuary or wherever you are, as we sing together. Please join me now in speaking the words of our affirmation, our covenant, as printed in the order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please be seated. This morning, our time for all ages is the littlest yak. Does anyone know what a yak is? Yes, right there. Yes, it's a baby buffalo. Very good. Okay. Boy, we have very smart children in our congregation. So, the littlest yak a sweet little thing. And on the tip of the top of a mountain all snowy, where the ice swirls, toe-curling blizzards were blowing, in a herd full of huddling yaks, big and small, lived Gertie. Now, Gertie was great at being a yak, with the curliest, whirliest wool at her back. She could clip-clop up cliffs, no matter how slippery, on little yak hooves that were splendidly grippy. Yes, Gertie was all that a small yak could be, but there isn't, she sighed, any bigness in me. I'm the yak at the back who is stuck in her smallness. I want to grow up and have greatness and tallness. With the hugest of hooves and humongous horns too, there isn't a thing that a big yak can't do. But yaks, Mummy smiled, are all shapes and sizes, and bigness can come in all sorts of disguises. Maybe one day you'll be huge, you'll be tall, so don't rush to grow up when it's great to be small. Yet, as night tiptoed in and the stars filled the sky, from the heart of the herd, Gertie sighed a huge sigh. Hugeness and tallness seem so far away. I don't want to be small. I need bigness today. So Gertie began on a growing up plan and ate every veggie a little yak can. She pattered up mountains, she clattered down hills, she hopped and she skipped, and she never sat still. And she read lots of books to make her thoughts grow, because grown-ups have big things to think and to know. And though Gertie hoped and she wished and she tried, the days slipped away, but no growing arrived. What if, she sniffed, I'm a yak who can't grow? And a salty tear plopped from her cheek to the snow. But wait, what was that? Something was coming. 100 yak hoofbeats were steadily drumming, and leading the herd in a snowflakey flurry was Mummy Yak, grunting, Oh, Gertie, please hurry. Look up, the yak's stuck on the craggy cliff's edge, at the end of the narrowest, rockiest ledge. Our hoofs are too heavy, our horns are too wide to squeeze on a ledge on a steep mountainside. But you are our littlest, grippiest yak. Only you can squeeze up there and bring that yak back. You need me? Gertie gasped. Because I'm so small? My smallness can do something big, after all. And Gertie was off. There was no time to waste. Over the ice-frosted rocks in great haste. Up higher and higher, leaping and springing. Then onto the ledge, where the little yak was singing. Oh, Gertie squealed as she stopped in her tracks. Why, you're the tiniest, weeniest, tiniest of yaks. to clip-clop off cliffs, the yak shivered, but I'm not very grippy, and his teeny horns quivered. Well, ripping, smiled Gertie, is what I do best. Just hold on tightly, and I'll do the rest. So onto her back the teeniest yak leapt, and down through the rocks and the ice Gertie swept. Home to the herd far below, cheering loudly. Gertie, you did it, they all grunted proudly. The teeniest yak would be stuck without you. There are some things that only a small yak can do. Then Gertie was wrapped in a warm, woolly hug, and into her ear, Mummy whispered with love, as sure as the stars in the glittering sky, you'll be all grown up in the blink of an eye. But it's here, and it's now, whilst you're wonderfully small, that you found you've got bigness inside, after all. And as Gertie gazed up at the moon, silver's light, being small, the little yak smile is all right. For I'm just the right size that a Gertie should be. I'm a perfectly little yak, and perfectly me. And that is our time for all ages today. So let us sing our children out with hymn number 414 as you leave this friendly place. The voluntary offering, the sharing of our resources for our shared work as a religious community, is a spiritual practice for all of us. By offering your time, talent, and treasure to this community, you help us serve the larger community, our members, friends, and the wider community around us. As part of that service, we share our general offering each week with organizations that do work in the world that brings us ever closer to creating the beloved community. This month, we share our offering with LEVO International. LEVO International was founded locally in 2016. LEVO International works with communities in Haiti, Jamaica, and Greater Hartford to create sustainability solutions to the problem of food insecurity. Partnering with other organizations, whether nonprofits or churches, LEVO creates networks of people who grow food hydroponically and feed their communities. They are focused on working with households and neighborhoods, working with local community leaders to make sure that families are directly supported by their work and educational programming. And today, you have the opportunity of really getting to know more about them after the service between 11:30 and 12:30, because they are here to explain their work to all of us. To give electronically, please use the QR codes on your order of service, the links in the description, or those on our websites to make your donation to our offering. Here in the sanctuary, our offering will now be gratefully received. Please rise in body and spirit as we speak our congregational reading, number 484, in the gray hymnal. We'll speak this all together. To live content with small means to seek elegance rather than luxury, and refinement rather than fashion. To be worthy, not respectable, and wealthy, not rich. To study hard, think quietly, talk gently, act frankly. To listen to stars and birds, to babes and sages with open heart. To bear all cheerfully, do all bravely, await occasions, hurry never. To let the spiritual, unbidden and unconscious, grow up through the common. This is to be my symphony. Let us join now in singing the doxology together. Please be seated. Today I have no specific congregants that ask for prayers. However, I know that you may know someone who needs prayer. So please feel free to shout out their name during this time, and we will all hold them in our thoughts and prayers this day. Neil and Victoria. As we begin our moments of silence and holding all of these and those not mentioned, but in our hearts, in our thoughts and prayers, let us listen to these words from Joy Harjo, reflecting on possibilities from her memoir, Poet Warrior. Girl Warrior began to notice she was different. When asked a question, even a simple question, maybe about a pine tree in memory, she could not respond in a straight line. She might see a pine tree, then a row of pine trees, then the history of pine trees, or from the point of view of a pine tree, or the dream of a pine tree far from the earth and the sky, all upon being asked the simple question. By then, she did not know how to respond. She was lost in the eternity of pine trees. Her instinct was to build in circles when asked a question. She might lose the beginning and then the ending. She might have the start of a painting or a poem, but no easy yes or easy response. Now, please join me in moments of silence. may we all find no answers most often to our questions and enjoy the memory of a pine tree, an acorn, a bird, or a flower. May it be so. Please join me in singing Spirit of Life.
Our first reading is from the poem Endless Possibilities by Donna Sue Grimes. On the road to life, there are many possibilities, endless possibilities to go this way or that way. Only you can decide which way is best, for it is your life to live, not mine. No one can make your best guess. You must make the decisions, for they affect you and only you. You must be the one to see them through. Endless possibilities, endless dimensions of life. Don't let them slip away and swirl into the pitch black of another day. Don't bury them in the deep emotions of the heart. Instead, let them soar to unimagined heights, up, up, and away. See them go, traveling into the wild blue yonder of God's unclouded skies. Oh, the endless possibilities are like beautiful shining diamonds in a field of gems, just waiting to be unearthed. And so are they on the road of life, the transverse possibilities waiting to be crossed, so that you can see all there is to see and do all there is to do, for the possibilities are limitless and just waiting for you to soar to new heights never dreamed, to see new places never seen. Follow your heart, follow your dreams into the realm of endless possibilities. Our second reading is from The Art of Possibility by Rosamund Stone Zander and Benjamin Zander. The action in a universe of possibility may be characterized as generative or giving in all senses of that word, producing new life, creating new ideas, consciously endowing with new meaning, contributing, yielding to the power of context. The relationship between people and environments is highlighted, not the people and things themselves. Emotions that are often relegated to the special category of spirituality are abundant here. Joy, grace, awe, wholeness, passion, and compassion. There are moments in everyone's life when an experience of integration with the world transcends the business of survival, like seeing a grandchild for the first time, witnessing an Olympic record broken, or the uncommon bravery of an ordinary citizen. For many, the experience of attending the dismantling of the Berlin Wall or of witnessing the emergence of Nelson Mandela from 27 years of imprisonment may have been such a moment. Some find admission to the realm of possibility at a religious gathering, some in meditation, some in listening to great music. Often people enter this state in the presence of natural beauty or at the sight of something of infinite magnitude, an expanse of ocean or a towering star-filled sky. These are the moments when we forget ourselves and seem to become part of all being. On the whole, resources or opportunities are likely to come to you in greater abundance when you are generous and inclusive and engage people in your passion for life. There aren't any guarantees, of course. When you are oriented to abundance, you care less about being in control, and you take more risks. You may give away short-term profits in pursuit of bigger dreams. You may take a long view without being able to predict the outcome. In the measurement world, you set a goal and you strive for it. In the universe of possibility, you set the context and let it unfold. The practice of framing possibility calls upon us to use our minds in a manner that is counterintuitive, to think in terms of the contexts that govern us rather than the evidence we see before our eyes. It trains us to be alert to a new danger that threatens modern life, the danger that unseen definitions, assumptions, and frameworks may be covertly chaining us to the downward spiral and shaping the conditions we want to change. But look what magical powers we have. We can make a conscious use of our way with words to define new frameworks for possibility that bring out the part of us that is most contributory, most unencumbered, most open to participation. And why not say that is who we really are?
I love the seasons of the year. You could say that seasons offer us possibilities. Actually, every day does that. But alas, I digress. Seasons always offer possibilities, and since this last Monday we officially rang off spring, I thought I'd point out some of the possibilities that spring might offer us, or at least the challenge of asking you to perhaps muse about how you see possibilities. As you have witnessed this morning, spring can offer us delightful music. There are multiple layers to the music that we experience, just as there are multiple layers of possibilities in front of us, regardless of whatever season we're moving into or out of. One of my favorite composer duos, the creativity of Rodgers and Hammerstein, and one of my favorite women musicians, vocalists actually, is Julie Andrews. They put their lovely creative work together in a musical called South Pacific. And I realize that dates me, but that's okay. One of the songs in that musical is The Cockeyed Optimist, which is one of my favorite songs. Part of its lyrics say this: "When the sky is a bright canary yellow, I forget every cloud I've ever seen. So they called me a cockeyed optimist, immature and incurably green," which I hope to keep forever. I'll be incurably green the rest of my life. I have heard people rant and rave and bellow that we're done and we might as well be dead. But I'm only a cockeyed optimist, and I can't get it into my head. Those lyrics speak of possibility, the ability to see beyond the immediate headlines, sound bites, pop-ups, video clips, or however you get your information, to know that often what people around us predict or moan about just isn't so, nor will it come to pass. Music often can do that for us, to remind us that it's not what it seems to be, or what everyone's raving about. Have you started paying attention to what beside trees are in bloom at this season? This morning, we heard about looking at cherry trees in bloom and reflecting about how those blooms speak to our days of living, of using our possibilities to the fullest. When I ask you to pay attention to other than the trees blooming, I don't mean just the trees in your yard, but paying attention to your neighborhood, along the roadways you travel, either by foot on your daily walk or weekly walk, or in your car as you drive to and from work or the grocery store, or just deciding to take a drive. I ask you to especially focus your attention to the blooming place of most importance, that place that Richard Rohr refers to often in his meditations as your inner heart landscape. Ironically, the two authors of The Art of Possibility collaborated from their areas of expertise, their inner heart landscapes. Benjamin Zander is the present conductor of the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra, and Rosamund Stone Zander has a private practice in family therapy, runs support groups, and is also a landscape painter and writer. As a writing pair, they look at possibilities for change and growth through different lenses, but with one heart. As they reminded us this morning in our reading, the practice of framing possibility calls upon us to use our minds in a manner that is counterintuitive, to think in terms of the contexts that govern us rather than the evidence we see before our eyes. Further in their book, they discuss practices that enhance and enliven possibilities. One such practice, I must admit, I've fallen in love with and have used again and again and again, especially in moments when those I'm working with seem to stand at a stalemate, what so many refer to as the us versus them dilemma. Ben and Roz's anecdote to us versus them is the practice called the we practice. Not tiny practice, by the way. I'm sorry, Gertie. They describe in this practice this way. This entity, the we, can be found among two people in any community or organization, and it can be thought of in poetic terms as a melody running through the people of the earth. It emerges in the way music emerges from the individual notes when a phrase is played as one long line. In the way a landscape coalesces out of the multicolored strokes of an impressionist painting when you get some distance from it. And in the way a family comes into being when the first child is born. The we appears when, for the moment, we set aside the story of fear, of competition, and struggle, and tell the we story, its story. The we story defines a human being in a specific way. It says we are our central selves seeking to contribute, naturally engaged, forever in a dance with each other. It points to relationship rather than to individuals, to communication patterns, to our gestures, to our movements, rather than to discrete objects. It attests to the in-between spaces. Alongside the season of spring comes the long line of religious traditions. Preparations for Passover, Ramadan, and Holy Week are in the weeks ahead of us. Each tradition, which I would define as a we story, calling to us to reflect about the possibilities of living our daily lives with more authenticity, more openness to loving, more awareness of exactly who we are and who we may yet become. Our Time for All Ages today reminded us that Gertie, our littlest yak, possessed a special part of her being she didn't even imagine was a possibility. Sometimes in our own reflections during preparation times, we discover that we too have abilities we have not thoroughly recognized. One of our Unitarian Universalist theologians, Rebecca Parker, in her book Saving Paradise, notes that we have a responsibility to view the possible in these words of her reflection. Our spiritual challenge as a faith tradition is to embrace reality. Histories of harm are all around us. Forces of evil operate within and among us. And yet everywhere the bushes are on fire. The risen Christ is with us on the road. The Spirit rises in the wind. The rivers of paradise circle the earth, and the fountain of wisdom springs up from the earth we tread, from this holy ground, just as our choir sang right before I began this sermon. My recognition of endless possibilities brings me to how this building, this very sacred ground we're sitting in and walking on, what we easily do overlook, that is alive with possibilities. I wish to highlight some of the endless possibilities that transpire here on an average day at the UU Church on Fern Street. A specialized choir, the Threshold Choir, was brought into a meeting this past Wednesday. Their presence and singing opened up a discussion of how music is meaningful in the process of dying. It offered possibilities to each person in that meeting and could touch people beyond it. Members of our food ministry packed bags and unloaded boxes and ran carts up to the portico to provide food for the community of folks who depend on that ministry for daily sustenance and varied food possibilities in their living spaces. Our administrative assistant, Amanda, created multiple emails, our order of worship that you all got this morning, the weekly e-news that you received in your email, and resolved several computer problems so that every member of our church staff were able to get back to interconnecting with one another. Ted had rehearsals with the choir, the soloist, the pianist, and also practiced for his pieces that prepared him for today and for the days ahead, providing listening possibilities and memories for every single person in this room. Don unlocked and relocked this building, all the church doors, so everyone who needed access had the possibilities to participate in why they were coming to this space. Musical instruments were heard in the classrooms and the hallways, produced by the students of the Hart School, that will eventually offer possibilities of imagination and creativity to the people who will be listening to those musicians someday. The hope of this service was to remind each of us, myself included, that we do walk amid endless possibilities. We live with infinite possible choices. We walk on holy ground, always, in this sanctuary, in our homes, in our offices, in the grocery store lines, in all that we do, and as Gertie pointed out, in all that we are. That our very beings live and breathe endless possibilities is a truth we can hold close to our hearts. May you always see those possibilities and celebrate them. May it be so. Amen. Please stand, if you are willing and able, and sing our closing hymn. Hymn 1015 in the turquoise hymn booth. I know I can. listen together. Engage with the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings. Please remain for our postlude.